Music matters. JayRaider, man, how you feeling?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, fuck.
Yeah,
First
dude.
video.
Yeah.
First interview.
First ever?
First ever. First
Damn,
ever.
I feel honored.
Appreciate it.
How's it feel?
One step to the next. That's how I feel.
Yeah, man. A lot of people get nervous when I interview them, and I feel fucking bad. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I hope it's not me.
Yeah. I was just nervous of the feeling because it's like that first time. Shit. My first time doing anything, you're kind of gonna be nervous. Like the first time I stepped into the booth, I was nervous, but as you keep going, you keep progressing, it's just like confidence builds.
I still get nervous every interview I do, besides like who the artist is, size of the artist,
Yeah.
whatever. It's just the process of going and meeting somebody new, you know?
You want to make everything perfect.
Yeah. I think it's also because I bounce back and forth from so many places, you know? Like I'm always interviewing people at different places.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like if I was one place and people came to me, I'd probably be less nervous, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure like 50, 60 in, I'll get there.
Yeah, bro. I watch a lot of your videos. You're pretty consistent with your questions. You're passionate. That's why I wanted to do this interview. So.
That's the love. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is that so? So yeah, you're one of the. I mean, I've interviewed people that have reached out to us before, but you're one of the first who I've interviewed who like reached out to us and like, hey, like, how do I get on Music Matters? Is that like something you like do often? Like you'll go on Instagram and just like try to find opportunities?
Not really. I'm kind of introverted. I don't really like to put myself out there or like talk to people. But when I like see people that are kind of passionate about the same things that I am, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. You know, you're young like me.
Yeah.
You are passionate about music, so why not make the connection?
That's love, bro. I feel
Yeah.
it. Do you ever have trouble like making connections like that? Then the Bay, because a lot of people like some people, not just in the Bay Area, I love the Bay Area, but a lot of people like talk about how like sometimes in the Bay you reach out to people and they're a bit standoffish. Have you ever had experiences like that? Like whether it's looking for like producers or engineers or people to shoot content with or whatever?
I kind of had this like experience in the studio. A rapper had pulled up. I told him to hop on a song, and he kind of like brushed me off. So yeah, Bay Area is kind of competitive, and it is what it is. But I don't know, that kind of molded me into kind of how I am today.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the Bay Area is fucking huge. They got a lot of different artists. So, but majority of them, they're kind of dickheads. But
yeah, I feel it. I don't know. I feel like, see, that's almost how I felt like before I started talking to so many, but it's like you start reaching out to people, you realize I feel like most people who are reaching for something like in our industry or in our lane are like cool people. Yeah. It's just a lot of it I feel like comes from, I feel like people who gravitate towards art or just like creatives in general, a lot of the times they do so because they use it as an outlet for trauma. And generally people who are, have been hurt, they tend to hurt people. So I could see why that could be. Yeah. I think that's why you could see some people who are standoffish in this industry.
Yeah, definitely. You got to watch your back, especially when, you're in music and you rap about the things that you rap about. And you wear flashy clothes and all that type of thing. You got to watch your back, especially in the Bay Area. A lot of people get backdoored and a lot of people, I don't know, it's kind of scary sometimes. Going places by yourself or meeting new people, you're kind of having that anxious feeling. So, yeah, I even had that feeling before this.
Yeah,
I was just like, damn, how is this gonna go? Like,
same,
that type of thing,
I think it's cool to acknowledge like everybody feels like that though.
Yeah,
it makes you feel less like you're different.
No, everybody's very much the same.
Yeah,
and a lot of people like to say, "Oh, I'm really different," but we have different qualities, but we all feel majority the same feelings day to day. Depression, anxiety, all that type of thing. We all feel those emotions.
Exactly. And I feel like that's one thing with music it's so good to be honest about,
Yeah.
I feel like that's getting less stigmatized in hip hop. I feel like more people are able to talk about like things like anxiety and depression and like even their upbringing and stuff. Is that something like you'd want to bring into your songs, like try to tell stories?
Yeah. That's something that I've been trying to do. I do it most of the time. That's what I use music for, as an outlet to have fun, to get away from real life. But yeah, bro, I just want to inspire people with my music to not be like me, but to be themselves. Break out of that kind of depression and anxiety, kind of take control of that. I'm not saying it's gonna go away, but you could take a hold of it.
Are those things you struggle with?
Yeah, definitely. When I first moved out to Berkeley, that's probably one of the biggest things I struggled with was depression, anxiety. It was such a big culture shock from the place that I moved. It was so crazy, bro. Like first day of school, I felt so small, bro. I didn't know nobody. I didn't feel like talking to nobody. So that's kind of where music came in. It was kind of saved me, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first, I moved my junior year, and my junior year, I basically skipped the whole thing. I was already up on credits, so I didn't I didn't really need to be there my junior year, and I could have graduated earlier than I needed to, but I was just in such a dark place, bro. I just stayed home. I was just like, fuck, what do I do with my life? Like, I have no friends here. I was basically feeling sorry for myself. But when I started making music, started becoming more confident, that's what really turned it around.
Is that like how you met most people you've met, like through music?
Yeah, majority. My homie Gabe, who knows Gabe? You'll meet him in the future.
For sure.
He was from my hometown. I wouldn't say hometown, but from where I moved previously from Berkeley, and we started doing music. It was kind of like a goal of ours. Like, let's make a song, bro. Let's see if we could do it, and we did it. And ever since then, we've been working towards our goals.
I feel like music can bring people together in that way so much. Like, I feel like I'm so much more likely, I feel like, to become friends with somebody who's like in my similar lane because you have like a shared common interest. You know, there's like it's like it's automatically assumed if you have like at least one common interest with somebody that like you can have some level of like coolness with them.
Yeah, exactly. You could be cordial with them. I've met people all over the Bay that I'm like, they're just like me. They got a passion for music, and even though we don't make the same type of music, I still understand the struggles that they go through. So I'm like, yeah, bro, we could be friends because we understand each other, and I think that's what friends are, is a good understanding of each other.
I feel like that with live music a lot. I think that's why I love it so much. It's like when you show up in a room and you're surrounded by people that you automatically have at least one shared interest with you, right? You already know that you both like that artist, or you're both into music or whatever. It's like that one shared interest can kind of change everything. It's like I feel like you just automatically. I feel like that's why I meet so many cool people at concerts. You just got you have one shared interest and you automatically meet up with them. Yeah,
music is like a beacon. It's like it's the place where everybody can go, and everybody loves fucking music.
Yeah,
like you're fucking lying if you don't like music, even if it's not rap, hip hop, pop, R&B, that type of thing. Like everybody loves music, to country, to fucking indie pop, all that type of thing. Like you like music, that's like my bad. Yeah, music is a beacon, I would say.
I don't think I've ever met anybody in my life that doesn't like some kind of music.
Yeah, like how do you like silence? Like that's scary. That's all you have is your thoughts. If you're in silence all the time, like music is meant to help you feel, express yourself.
Exactly. I can't do that. And I feel like a lot of it, too, is like the way you were talking about you expel trauma. I feel like that's such a good thing. If you don't mind me asking, I hope I'm not pressing you too much about your childhood, but like, do you think like a lot of like the trauma, well, not trauma, but just like the problems that you face with anxiety and depression, do you think a lot of that came from your upbringing, or did it come from like all that moving?
Yeah. So definitely that kind of did. That is like a big force in my music. I talk about being homeless a little bit. I grew up with both my parents, which I'm blessed to have, because not everybody has both parents. We're still a young family, so my mom was 16, my father was 17. He was already working 2 jobs, and they found out I was pregnant. They had the opportunity to fucking throw me in a trash can, but they didn't. They took it like champs. So that upbringing was really hard because 16, 17, you're not married, you're not grown, you don't really have everything figured out. And to have a child at 16 and 17, like I'm 20 and I don't even think I could have a child now. So big ups to my parents, and it was a struggle, but it was a beautiful one. Yeah,
and I feel like this might sound corny, but I do feel like the greatest art does come from struggle.
Hell yeah. The corny shit is the real shit. That's why I try to tell people. It's like, it's not corny, it's the real shit.
I say that all the time. I'm always like, shit that you like dumb quotes that you would like see on a t-shirt. That's the kind of shit I love. Like, I'll read it all the time.
Yeah, like the shit your parents tell you, you should really listen to.
That's facts.
Yeah.
I was snowboarding yesterday, and I saw this girl. She had a shirt, and it was like a cool streetwear shirt. I'd never seen it before. The back of it said, "Your anxiety is lying to you."
Yeah.
I was like, that's fire. Like, that's so true. Like it when you really break it down, what anxiety is, it's like a fear of the future. Yeah. That's like what it is. Depression's a fear of the past, and anxiety is a fear of the future.
Yeah, definitely.
So I kind of read that, and I was like, wow, that's really true. And I got home, I looked up like the brand. What was it called? I think it's called We're Not So Far Together or something like that. But shout out them. But anyway, so I went. I tried to buy that hoodie, but it was sold out. But I was like, damn, that's really true. Like at its core, like anxiety is a fear of the future.
Yeah. I think the best thing, if you have anxiety, for me at least, I just close my eyes, take a little deep breath, just try to remember the place I'm going to. I try not to think too far ahead. I try to plan things day to day. And when I do think ahead, I'm like, fuck, I'm getting stressed out. I need to chill, make some music, chill out, smoke a little weed. You know, that's kind of my process when it comes to creating music. When I'm feeling down and I'm kind of like stressed out, that's when I make my best music, I would say.
Are you somebody who like tends to forget ideas, or it's like when you're feeling like that, do you run to start writing a track, or do you like kind of sit in those feelings and let them meld and then just kind of reflect on them on in the booth?
So it kind of takes me a while to make a song because I really have to go through the motions, like I said. Yeah, so I'll go and I love to hear my voice. So that's my therapy, is my own voice.
Yeah.
I say there's two sides of me. There's that side of me that is depressed and has anxiety, and then there's that other side to me that creates beautiful sounds, and that's the side that I want to be at, you know. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like I only make those sounds when I'm stressed out or such. But yeah, I when I'm not so stressed out and depressed, I would say I make some fun shit, hyphy shit, I would say.
I mean, it's funny you bring that up. I feel like a lot of people struggle with not only like the anxiety and the depression thing when it comes to like only being able to create in that state, but it's like I think that's why we've lost so many great artists in the past couple 5 years to drugs, because so many artists have gotten to a place where they can really only create when they're under a substance.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like that's how you really create a dependency. It's when like you if you can't create under a substance, it's like then it ties your well-being and it ties your financial state to being under a substance, and that's like a deadly dangerous thing.
Very dangerous. Like you fall in love with that feeling because you kind of correlate that feeling with the drug, and like, damn, that's when I make music. But I try to like break out of that. So when I'm not depressed and I'm happy, I'll like say, fuck it, let's make a happy song. Let's make some cool shit.
I mean, you gotta have variety. You can't just make all sad music.
Definitely. You gotta be able to touch everybody.
Are you somebody who like feels like, I was actually just talking about this with Mateo earlier. We were talking about people who are like emotionally closed off. Do you have problems or a hard time like opening up to people, or are you like pretty open about your emotional state?
I love talking to people about my emotional state because I kind of feel like it brings comfortability to them, to where they could talk to me about their type of thing. You know, sometimes I find people come to me and talk to me about that type of thing without even me opening it up. But I feel like the energy I give off is that type of thing where you can come to me and talk about anything because I won't judge you. That's kind of like an Aquarius thing, I would say. Yeah.
Are you big on the horoscopes and stuff?
Not really, but on myself. That kind of, it's not everything, but I could kind of correlate with certain things that an Aquarius is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm very big on like, I've always felt that like I wasn't an emotionally open person until like I went through I had to like learn that trait, you know? Like I felt like by nature I was very like closed off, I just didn't trust a lot of people, but the past like 3-4 years I've gotten way better at that, and I agree with you. I feel like when you open up to somebody else, it gives them room to open up to you, and then you kind of create that relationship.
Exactly. You got to push yourself to be uncomfortable for you to be comfortable and confident. You got to do shit that you're uncomfortable with, like whether you're like laying in bed and you got to wake up at a certain time, you got to push yourself to do that. Or if you don't want to go to the gym, you got to go. Like in that moment where you feel like don't going, that's when you jump. That's when you go.
Yeah, entirely. It's like they say, like when you're at the edge of a cliff, the best things of your life are at the bottom. And that sounds like crazy, but it's like the hardest part's making that jump. Like be it like I think a good example of that is like music or like musicians or like artists or of any kind who like are in school and are like to the point where they can like make enough money or like close to like living off of it, but it's like making that jump to becoming a full-time artist is like a tough transition, but it's like it's just like a leap of faith. It's like taking a leap of faith.
You got to be confident in your answer. Don't let nobody stray your decision, because at the end of the day you got to make it. Nobody else can make that decision for you. You can't ask somebody and like, oh, that's the answer. No, the answer is what you think is the answer.
Yeah, that's real, man. I think that's so true. I think about that all the time because I used to trust like even like what I'm doing, right? Like, like I'm trying to turn Above the Bridge into and turn this business into. Yeah. I feel like I used to take people's advice way more than I should have when I realized like in reality, like it's hard for somebody else to understand your vision, you know?
Exactly. Even if they're your friend and even if you guys come from the same place, you guys think about entirely different things. That's why I said I don't like to send people my music anymore. I don't like to tell them like, oh, I'm working on this unless I post it, you know? Yeah. Because when I first started making music, I'd be like, oh, does this song bang? Does this song bang? And that doesn't bring your confidence up because there's a lot of yes men out there. Yeah. There's a lot of people just because they're your friend. Oh yeah, bro, that sounds good. Da da da. This and that. Like your best advice comes from you talk to yourself. That's the best advice I could give you.
There's the people who fail though, bro. People who surround themselves with yes men.
Yeah.
Because they can't like objectively look at themselves from an outside perspective and think, wow, this is what I have to work on. Yeah. This is what I don't. These are my strengths. These are my weaknesses. And that tends to make people like very, like you kind of get stuck that way, you know?
You got to remember why you do certain things. This could relate to anything in life, whether it's your job, music, or just life in general. You need to, how do I phrase this? My bad.
You're good.
Yeah. In life in general, this could correlate to anything, but you just gotta grab that shit by the balls. You gotta be in the driver's seat. You gotta take it to where you want to go. You gotta really sit down with yourself and tell yourself what you want.
Especially musically, you gotta do what you want. Like when you're in the booth, you have a new idea or a new experiment you want to try. Did you ever struggle like delving into sounds that other people don't think, you know, maybe other people like it just like strays from your traditional music?
Yeah, so when I first started out, I really wanted to do that general kind of Bay Area sound. But, I mean, if I kept working at it, I probably would have gotten really good. And I can make really good Bay Area general sounds. But I feel like for myself, that's not me. And I just need to make my sound, like the JayRaider sound. Like,
yeah.
That's a JayRaider song because you can tell. Like, I love making melodies. I just love making upbeat melodies and I love making good music, talking about feelings, talking about like situations, like made up situations even. Like music doesn't have to be like a real thing. It could be challenge yourself. I have a song called Days of the Week. I try to, every bar is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that's just like, you got to challenge yourself, you know, come up with creative shit. Because a lot of people you hear is like oversaturated with the same shit. They talk about Glocks and the same car and same shit. And you got to just really try new things. Like, you know, Tyler, the Creator, he doesn't have like the same cars as most people have in their music videos. Like he's got his own kind of wave, and that's what I fuck with Tyler. I don't really listen to his music, but him as a creative I really respect because all the colors and the cars, they all correlate, and that shit's cool. Like I
was gonna say the color thing with Tyler's weird. Like I've heard people say that they believe that like Tyler like genuinely changed the way that like we look at color in music, which is, I think it's really true. Like think about like the Igor thing. Like the whole theme for the album was pink, you know, like. Or his like he drives a McLaren. I'm pretty sure it's pink. I think it's pink. It's like the way he uses colors, like something I've never seen before.
Yeah, I've been kind of like on that wave of green. I'm wearing green right now. Like green is abundance.
It's a fire-ass jacket, by the way.
Yeah, appreciate it. Bro, like you got like I said, you got to think about new ways to get people's attention. Like Igor, that shit he got a Grammy. Yeah. So that's the cool thing because he's thinking outside the box. Like, not everybody's doing that type of thing. You got to be you, but also be creative to where people can understand you.
Do you think about that like on like an aesthetic level a lot? Like if you're like consciously wearing green, you're trying to like wear green and like maybe make it like a theme type thing. Yeah. Are you careful with like your image and the way you brand yourself, be it like on social media or what you wear? And do you think that's important in music?
I think it's important to have like a general image, like, oh, that's like a JayRaider fit, or like you gotta have like that staple piece. I feel like a Letterman jacket is kind of my staple piece, whether it be green, blue, red, or something like that. But if you see me, I'll probably be wearing a Letterman jacket all the time. Like growing up, my parents couldn't afford something like this. Now that I'm older, like I go back to my childhood and think about the things that I want and like the things that all this stuff that you said kind of does go back to my childhood and me kind of being creative and trying to get past that trauma, that type of thing. So, yeah, I really feel like you got to make a staple. You got to make, how do I say this? Your art, your music needs to correlate with your videos. And once everything meshes together, that's when you feel like, damn, okay, I accomplished that. Like, when there's missing pieces, you don't really feel accomplished. You know, when you make a banger-ass song, but you don't have the video, it's like, damn, what if there's a video, you could reach a lot more people because a lot of people, they get, their attention is visual. A lot of people nowadays, they don't really listen. They look and they see. So visuals are important.
And that's important even down to like how you time your drops. Like I found that like, for videos, at least, I feel like videos do way better, and they also, like, number-wise, but they also are just, like, more interesting and more exciting when they drop like the same day as a song. You know,
Yeah.
like, you drop it collectively, so it's like you have the song and the video, and they're considered in tandem.
Yeah, definitely. Marketing strategies with your music, the videos, they fucking, if you, like you said, if you drop them on the same day, they're probably gonna watch the video,
Yeah.
rather than than listen to the song. But kind of one thing that I've been trying to do is I'll drop a song and then later on drop the video, so they go back to stream the song, kind of.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that, actually. That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I just try to watch a lot of people that have done this shit before and like kind of pick their brain, like watch interviews. So that's why I was excited to do this interview, because, you know, some artists out there is going to listen to this and they're going to get inspired from it.
Yeah.
They're going to like, damn, okay, that's a good strategy.
That's the goal, man. I mean, with all of these, the goal is just to help other creatives and help artists understand people's stories. Like, I just want to give people a platform to tell their story. You know, like, even you opening up about, like, your anxiety and depression and stuff like that, that's your story. You know, everybody has their story, and that's why I think it bothers me so much when people try to, bog down their story and act as if they didn't come from where they came from, or they aren't, like, you know, they aren't living their truth. Because the thing is, like, we all have a story. Like, everybody has a story. Everybody came from somewhere, and there was that one chapter and then another chapter, and they are where they are now. And it's like your life's a book, you know. And I don't think there's any good that comes out of, like, hiding that, you know. Like, you could just, like, be honest about it. No one's gonna judge you. Or I mean, some people will judge you, but if they do, fuck them. They don't deserve to be in your life.
Yeah, I feel like if you do skip some pages in your book, it's going to be hard to understand.
Yeah.
You got to be really, really, really open with your art, especially if your audience is people that are similar to you. People need to be able to relate to you. So you got to you got to put everything out there, man.
Especially on, like, an artistic level musically, I feel like, because I think there's so much value that comes from, like, painting a story with your music, you know, like making yourself an interesting person with your music. Because like you said, right, if you can make as many songs as you want about, like, you know, trapping, whatever, but if they're about the same thing and you're not showing, like, people how you're developing as a human being within your music, eventually they're going to stop listening. You know, you can only listen to a song that bangs in the car so many times. The song you're going to go back to is a song you get something emotionally from, like, be it a story or be it, so you relate to something. You have to have something, like, some emotional pull in your music that causes people to come back to it.
Exactly, and that's the type of artist I want to be. It's like, I don't want to reach just a certain type of people. I want to reach everybody. You know? Limiting yourself is probably the worst thing you can do in music. You really got to experiment. You got to try new things out, because, hey, you could be good at this one sound, but you could master this other one, and that shit could change your life.
Do you ever feel like people who from the Bay Area get boxed in with a Bay Area sound and a Bay Area narrative? Because I feel like a lot of people, again, not shitting on Bay Area music. I love the place where I'm from. I love the music here. But I do find that there's such a specific sound here that some people kind of outgrow that sound. And then if their main audience is from the Bay, once they outgrow that sound and try to experiment a bit more, maybe they're not doing the same numbers because their listeners are still Bay Area listeners that want Bay Area music.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Totally,
it's 100% okay. But if your goal is to reach a lot of people, I say do not limit yourself to that type of thing. But yeah, I agree with you 100% on the Bay Area sound, and it's like it's a unique sound that you don't hear everywhere.
Totally. But, except maybe Detroit now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you kind of hear the Detroit sound over here a little bit too as well. But it can get very oversaturated. And the ones that created the sound, those are the guys that are fucking masters. And a lot of people talk about new artists like, oh, you're biting this guy, and you don't want to be compared to anybody else other than yourself, you know?
Yeah, I like that. I've found that it's been an interesting thing for me, because I've talked to a lot of artists who've said that. And it's like something that I think is like I try to be careful to not do that to other artists. I try to be careful to not be like, oh, you sound like this person, or you sound like that person, because that can totally be a disrespectful thing, right? Like if I came here and I was like, damn, bro, your music sounds like, I mean, this is a random artist, but if I came here and I was like, damn, bro, you sound like Tyler the Creator, just because we were just talking about him, you know, like that. That's almost like saying like they don't have their own creative vision. It's like saying like you're biting somebody almost.
Yeah, it's cool to take the good parts of people and like kind of implement that into your music, but taking someone's whole sound and sounding like them from the beat to the rhythm of the song and everything like that, it's not good, bro.
What genres and what artists and what time period do you think you probably take the most inspiration from in your music?
I really could say, like, Bay Area wise, It's kind of weird because I make a lot of different types of music.
Totally.
I even try to make some Bad Bunny tracks and like that type of thing. But I have songs that you can compare, I guess, to like Lil Peep. I don't know actually. I just feel like I try to make songs that I feel like, okay, let's try this out. So I wouldn't really compare myself to anybody. But if you do listen to some of my songs, you could find inspiration from every kind of artist, I say.
Yeah. What was interesting to me when you reached out to me too, just in regards to inspiration and stuff, is like you being from Berkeley. I think you're the first rapper I've interviewed from Berkeley, or just first artist I've interviewed. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like you really are like the first person from Berkeley. And what's interesting to me is like I always assume like if I were to interview somebody from Berkeley, the first person it would be is like a band. Or like a singer or something. Because a lot of the music I feel like that comes out of Berkeley, at least what it's known for, is like the East Bay punk Bay punk movement. Is there like a scene of like hip hop in Berkeley that I'm kind of unaware of? Because like that was interesting to me when you reached out to me.
I would say I'm really not big into that type of thing. Like I don't. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of good artists that came from Berkeley. I know Pimp Toby. I fucking grew up listening to Pimp Toby. I feel like a lot of Berkeley and rappers. I don't know. Rex Life Raj, that guy. I really like that guy. He's from Berkeley.
For real.
He's totally not the Bay Area sound. He's a real R&B artist, I would say. And he talks about a lot of real shit. And I feel like I could relate to Rex Life Raj a lot. It's
like an interesting contrast in culture, right? Because like so much hip hop comes out of Oakland, which neighbors Berkeley, but then so much early rock like came out of Berkeley. Like the whole East Bay punk music was like centered a lot around Berkeley. It's interesting. Like you have like Green Day came out of Berkeley, or you have like Jefferson Airplane, like Grateful Dead came out of the city, you know. And it's like just I feel like it's weird to like trace back the historic like hip hop music that came out of Berkeley. So that's something I'm definitely trying to get more interested in because like I'm in Berkeley a lot, and it's like I feel like a lot of like the hip hop from there kind of goes undiscovered, and it's cool. There's certain I mean, Berkeley's a city, but it obviously like neighbors Oakland. And I feel like cities that neighbor bigger cities sometimes get overshadowed in terms of like the artists that come from them because they'll just be like, oh, like just another Oakland artist. But it's like in reality, that if you grow up in Berkeley, it's really different from growing up in Oakland.
Yeah, definitely. And even though it neighbors it, there's a lot of different culture here in Berkeley than in Oakland. And I feel like a lot of Berkeley rappers, they kind of adopt the Oakland sound. Which is what I'm like, what I hear sometimes. But yeah, like I don't really hear too many artists coming out of Berkeley. I feel like some of them say, like, Oakland. I'm from Oakland, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the neighbors. Or the city, you know? But,
how long ago did you say you were trying to make some, like, Bad Bunny type stuff? Like, when you say, like, that, more like Latin music, or, like?
Yeah, I was, like, I was looking up the words on fucking Google Translate, because I'm Hispanic, but I don't speak Spanish. So, I was just trying to do whatever the fuck I was trying to do, and I feel like I made a banger.
Do you feel like growing up Hispanic culturally has impacted your music in any way?
I actually grew up on a lot of rock, like Fall Out Boy, Kings of Leon, that type of thing. My mom was a big alternative fan, and I kind of got more of the hyphy sound from my dad. So it was kind of like I'm kind of like in between, you know. I have a good mix of both. Like I fucking love rock music. At one point I was playing the guitar.
Oh really?
Shout out to Jack Black because of School of Rock.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah. And I originally wanted to play the bass, but my grandpa, he was like, I'll buy you an electric guitar. That sounds a bit more fun.
That's
and I was
fire.
Like, yeah. And I stopped playing. I probably knew one song, Iron Man. And I started playing football and then kind of got lost from music from then.
Is that where the Letterman comes from?
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah. And then I always wanted to do something big, whether it was sports. For a long time, it was sports. But then I just didn't have the work ethic. We didn't have the funds for sports. So I was like, all right, you know, I was good in school for a while. Then when I hit middle school, stopped doing school. I'm really interested in it. For a long time, I was not interested in a lot of things except video games. Like, I wanted to be in phase. I'm fucking quick scoping and shit. I just wanted to do everything at a high level, no matter what I did, because I think that's something that my father taught me. You know, if you're going to do something, you do it right. So I kind of implement that into music, and I say, hey, you need the best quality. I go to Breathe, you know.
Shout out Breathe.
Shout out to Breathe.
Check out my interview with Breathe.
Yeah, that's a good one. I suggest it.
Appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, just for the past year going to Breathe, like I feel like that's top quality. So I fucking love being there. It's comfortable, and his equipment is fucking top
A1.
tier. A1. I remember when I first stepped in there and I seen his setup, I was like, how much does this cost? He was like, you're going to need a light 10. I'm like, damn, I'm a long way from there.
I love his story, man. He's a good example of what we were talking about earlier. Like somebody takes a leap of faith.
Exactly.
And it worked out because he worked his ass off, you know?
That whole story of him that longest walk home. And then that whole story about him renting the studio and giving out free mixes and shit like that. That's what you got to do sometimes. It takes sacrifices, you know?
It's a grind, man. I mean, just speaking on like what I do even, I feel like people try to act like you can build a business and, I mean, we were talking about this earlier when we were outside, but people try to act like you can build a business in 2 years, and it's impossible. I'm sorry. Like maybe there's very rare instances. You know, I'm not saying it hasn't been done. It's certainly been done.
It's very rare.
But but the average I would assume is like at least 5 years. You have to understand what you're doing, what you're doing wrong. You have to understand what you want it to be. There's so many things you have to understand that can only come from experience, and I feel like I'm learning that day by day.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I was blessed with that because my father is also an entrepreneur. So I seen from when he started his company to where he is now, and it's like drastically different. Like,
what's his company?
He's a waterproofer. That's
so cool.
Yeah. He's like a one-man army, man. Like he'll hire people sometimes, but he likes to do shit on his own because he doesn't trust people's quality or their work ethic, and he knows he can trust himself. So big respect to him, and that's taught me a lot, and that's kind of some things I implement into music. That's the whole reason why I want to be an independent artist. Like, my mom's also a fucking entrepreneur. She's going to school. She goes to Cal. Shout out to Mom.
Good for her. Shout out moms.
She's getting her doctorate degree soon.
That's awesome.
She's also a poet. She has a book out right now. You guys get it, Barnes & Nobles, Target.com.
What's it called?
It's called If You Cannot Find Her by She.
We'll put the link to it in the description. We'll put it on the screen right here.
Yes, sir. So I just feel like God blessed me with parents that I needed to in order to become where I want to go. You know, I don't expect this to happen overnight. I'm taking it day by day. I don't really want it to happen overnight because that takes all the fun out of it, you know? Say we're here now and I blow up overnight and I play an arena. I'm not ready for that, you know? And,
exactly,
And a lot of people won't say that they're not ready for that type of thing. You got to build yourself up. I haven't even done my first show yet, and I'm excited for that. So it's all a process. The journey is so much fun. Like a lot of people say, the journey. It's not the end goal because it never ends, you know? Yeah. It's just, it keeps going, bro. And the journey is what I'm excited about. This is part of the journey. So, you know, this is the best thing that you can do is take it day by day, slow. My bad. Gotta keep it slow, but keep it going. You know, like the tortoise and the hare. If you finish too fast, you're gonna get cocky and end up losing.
A lot of people talk, like, again, this is another saying that I think is corny but true. I think like you really do have to love the grind. Yeah. And the reason is with each step of the grind, each step of the process, you learn so much more. Do you feel like when you like, how much do you think you've grown and learned from when you started making music to now?
Man, it's so crazy because I have a playlist on my SoundCloud where I started from my first song to my latest song. And I listen to that and I just try to perfect everything. And I'm like, I implement things from my first song to the newer songs and like that type of thing. You gotta be a fan of your own growth. You got to be your number one fan. And when a lot of people ask me, hey, do you listen to this artist? Do you listen to that artist? I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? I'm like, I'm an artist myself. I'm my biggest fan. Like, even if I have no fans, I still have one fan, and my number one fan is me. So I know I can count on me 100%, and I'm going to give myself the best advice. I'm like, if this is not it, I'm going to tell myself, and that's what I can trust. Kind of like going back to what I said about my father. He's like, he can trust himself when it comes to his work. And that type of thing is fucking insane because a lot of people are shocked that I don't really listen to other music. Not saying I don't listen to other music, but I'm constantly trying to perfect my craft and trying to write always. At work, I'll say random shit. Like, I'll kick the door into the walk-in. I'll say, I stepped in this bitch like I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'll write that down, you know, and then I'll turn that just one line into a whole song. And it happens like that, you know. Some days you can't sleep and you're like, fuck, why can't I sleep? Then you go ahead and make a new song. That's happened to me countless amount of times. And everything happens for a reason, you know. When you're sleepless nights, you do just grind.
Yeah, man, that's real. When you say both your parents are entrepreneurs and, you know, you kind of came from that cloth. Do you think, I mean, we were talking outside about how you're starting to do like some of your own video work.
Yeah.
Do you think that's like why you want to be like a one-man army and kind of just, I mean, obviously you're not opposed to working people. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying like, you know, just do a lot of that stuff yourself and really like
100%.
Muster that like courage to be totally independent.
100%, because say, you know, I have a guy, he's going to shoot my video and he's an hour late.
Yeah.
And if I knew how to do that, I'd just do it myself. And then if I know how to do something and I have a friend that is interested in the same thing, I can now help him eat. I can teach him how to do that. My whole thing is I want to live to help people around me, you know, my family, you know. That's the biggest thing. I feel like if you want to change the world, you got to change your inner circle. And my inner circle is my family. I really don't have too many friends other than the people that I work with or my family. So they're big supporters in me and my music, and they 100% back me up on a lot of things. So why would I not want to help them achieve their goals, help them become on another platform? Because, you know, if you're a huge artist, there's connections in a whole lot of different things other than music. So I'm just trying to do my part.
That's fire. I hate to hear when people like our artists have like they have a family unit around them that isn't super like supportive of their music. I feel like that'd be so hard, man, to have like really like have a family but also like have a dream of like pursuing music and then just having people that just don't really rock with your music and aren't really fully supportive of it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that comes from like I mean it probably helps that your parents are young in that regard because they probably understand what you're doing a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like a lot of things that happen in life, you can relate it to music or anything that you're doing. Everything's a process. So my father, my bad if I talk about my parents a lot.
Dude,
but
talk about your parents.
I respect
your
them
parents.
so much.
That's
so
awesome.
That's why, you know, I wasn't always like that. I would always fight with them and shit like that. And like I didn't understand all the sacrifices they gave me. And to the point that we're at now, I'm like, holy shit, we're a family full of bosses.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, fuck yeah, I come from a king and queen. I'm a prince right now. And one day I'll have my own empire. So we'll all be royalty.
I fuck with that.
Yeah.
Parenting, seems like, I mean, I'm not a parent, but parenting seems like the most difficult thing to do to me. I'm like genuinely scared for the future to be a parent because I feel like that's something like you have to like change your entire mindset. How you have to change the way you live. Like you're not just living for yourself anymore. You are literally living for somebody else. Every action that you do is going to be emulated by like a small version of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And in one regard, that's really cool. But like in another regard, it's like if you're fucking up, I mean, it's tough because that reflects on your kids. Like you really have to be there and be a role model. And it sounds like what your parents taught you is independency and hard work and stuff like that. It's like you really have to emulate those things, you know, because you could like be a parent and talk about those things. Your kids aren't going to pick it up unless you actually do it.
Yeah. I just did a lot of watching, you know, seeing my parents work hard and come from where they come from. Not a lot of people are in their position from being 16 and pregnant to becoming a doctor in historical science and shit like that.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and not a lot of people have a kid when they're 17 or 16 and they come out on top making 6 figures a year or fucking living in Berkeley at that, you know. It's fucking expensive to live in the Bay Area.
Hell yeah.
So big ups to my parents. Like, they're my superheroes. I've never really idolized anybody else other than my parents. Like, I'm the spitting image of my father, and he's done a lot of, like, there's been times where there's a lot of, like, that hardcore parenting, but when I growing up, like, as a teenager, they let me experience shit on my own, and that's probably the best thing they could have done for me is letting me fuck up on my own and then letting me realize, okay, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. I'm not doing it again. And then, you know, talking to your parents, like, you got to let your parents know, oh, yeah, thank you for letting me fuck up because that's probably the best thing they could have done for you. Because if you shield your baby and you're like, you hide everything from them, they're kind of going to be a shady fucking kid, you know? They're going to go behind your back and do all this shit. Like, when I was smoking weed, I was hiding it from my parents and, like, when I first started. And this is the craziest story. I was about 16. I came home from, like, smoking hella weed. I hid my backpack in, like, my hiding spot, slept on the downstairs couch just so I could see it, like, if it moved. I had woken up, and my mom was like, your dad's fucking pissed at you. And I looked outside through the window, and...
He's smoking your weed now, imagine.
He was already kind of, like, questioning if I had smoked because I'd come home, like, hella, like, I wouldn't talk to them or nothing. I'd just go straight to my room. And when I seen the window, out through the window, you could see the little hiding spot and it was gone. And then she was like, he took everything. It was like my whole dank bag, and he took everything. And she was like, he took everything. He smashed your pipe. He took all this and that. He found all your little wrappers and all this stuff. And I go upstairs, and we're moving at the time, or we're moving stuff around. So he's like, take this box upstairs. She didn't mention nothing to me, right? And I go and look in his closet. My bag's there. They leave, and then I go in my room, and there's a whole bag. My bag's there, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I open my bag. There's a fucking ounce in there. Not saying he gave it to me, but in quotations. That day, I was like, fuck, I respect my father, because he could have done anything else, you know? He could have whooped my ass if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But, you know, from that moment, I felt like he seen me as, like, him.
Like a man.
Yeah. You know, you see your kid, he's you in a different form, you know? So from that moment, I was like, fuck. Is this real life right now? I was like, am I dreaming? Did my dad just do this? And I was just like, holy shit. Called all my friends. I was like, bro, my fucking dad just gave me all this weed, all this and that. And I was just like, I was very happy. And then from that moment, I started respecting my parents more. I started understanding that they understood what I was going through. I was just being a kid, and, you know, fuck it. If
your mom punked you, she made it seem like he was hella mad.
Yeah. And that shit, I'll never forget that day.
That's hella funny, dude.
That was the funniest shit ever. I was on my ass cheeks were clenched. I was like, fuck.
It's like a weird balance, I feel like. I've always thought about, like, in the future, if I have kids, man, it's really hard, because on one hand, you definitely have to, like, let your kids experience shit yourself, but you also do want to, like, protect them. I imagine it's like a hard line to toe. Like, my upbringing, my parents, like, let me do pretty much, like, whatever I wanted, and I felt like that was, like, why, I learned so much from that, you know, like, growing up, like, smoking weed, and then, like, kind of realizing, you know, this isn't really, like, that fun to me, like, doing this every day, going out with my friends every day isn't really
trying to scrummage for
fun.
change. Hey, mom, can I have $5?
Yeah, shit like that. It's like, damn, it's like, I'd rather go get a job, you know. It's like, actually, like, to me, I'm just motivated by, like, work more than anything. Like, just I'm motivated by, like, working hard on my business, working hard at school, working hard at work, whatever. But it's like, I don't think I ever would have learned that if my parents sheltered me, because like, my parents sheltered me. I'd say they were hella on me about, like, my grades, and I was like an average student in school. I was like a B/C average student, and my parents never really got on me about my grades. They were like, "Oh, you're passing, you're gonna graduate, it's whatever," and that was cool to me in the moment. But I feel like why it mattered was because I eventually, when I started fucking up, like, I was able to check myself because nobody else was going to, you know? And that's why, like, one thing I think about a lot is, like, I have friends like this, like, kids who their parents don't let them do anything their entire life. And those happen to be the same kids who end up going to, like, a university, and then their parents are probably paying for it. But these kids have been sheltered their entire childhood, so they go to college and just go fucking berserk because they've never had a beer. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, because you go from 0 to 100. Yeah. That's a lot worse than going from like 1 to 2 to 6 to 7. Like, it's way better, because then you realize that, like, you know, maybe fucking up isn't cool. You know, like, maybe, like, doing all this stuff and, like, messing up, like, my days and my future, you realize that you don't like that either, because nobody likes that, you know what I mean? But it's like, if you don't have those struggles and have those experiences that are kind of difficult, it's hard to realize that. So as a parent, you definitely, I feel like you have to give your kids a certain amount of freedom to, like, let them realize what is right and wrong, and just hope that you're a good enough role model and they'll figure it out.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you're good people, you raise good people. And sometimes in special cases, that's not the case. But yeah, that part of letting me fuck up, that is probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Because like you said, if I were to go back to be 16, I probably wouldn't be smoking all day, like going to the park, smoking with my friends all day, scrummaging for fucking coins, trying to pay the plug.
Mom, can I get $10?
Yeah, for what? And food. Yeah, so I feel like, a lot of people have that same experience, and I'm just blessed to have my parents in my life, still be there, still teaching me, you know. It's just, you guys got to level up. Your parents can't just go by themselves. The whole thing about having kids is so they could be better than you, and that's the one thing that my parents preached to me all about. And when I was in school, around middle school, I started to stop fucking with school, and my dad had dropped out, so it was really, really important for him, for school, for me to be a good student. You know?
Sure, yeah.
And I ended up dropping out myself because I was just like, fuck school. I really felt I could be a straight A student. You know, my senior year, I got a 4.0, but I had dropped out. I was just like, I don't need this shit.
Yeah.
And it's not to be cocky or anything like that, but I just feel like school has never taught me anything other than social life. And, you know, school is a very toxic place. I was a cool, I would say, popular kid, but, you know, everybody gets bullied. I didn't have a lot of money growing up. I'd get fucking made fun of for wearing the same shoes same shoes 2 days in a row, like, because these other kids had like 10 pairs of shoes. I got like one pair of shoe a fucking year, and that'd last me a year, and like that made me hate school, even though I never said that. I never said I was bullied or like complained about it. I just went along with it. School kind of made me materialistic, and when I moved here, it wasn't like that. It was like culture shock. Like, everybody in Berkeley, you're free mind, bro. Like, everybody's wearing their own fucking style. Nobody's fucking picking on anybody. Everybody's friends. That's what I fucked with here. But I just felt like school wasn't for me. I could have been a really good student. I could have gotten a fucking business degree, you know? Mm-hmm. I know more about business than fucking probably someone in college that's studying it right now, because I'm actually living it, you know?
That's how I feel too, yeah.
You gotta experience it, because you can't just have a degree, and then when you have a degree, I'll have a degree in business. Then you get into the field, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I sell meat at Whole Foods for a living, and I know so much about meat that, fuck, these people that are making like hundreds of thousands of dollars that can afford this shit, they don't know shit about this. I could tell them like, oh, this is the best meat, and it's the fucking worst meat in the fucking case, and they'll buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like I have a silver tongue, you know? I could get my place. I could get myself anywhere.
Yeah, man, that's real. I think you should have that confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
I think back like earlier when you were talking about like listening to your own music. I know I said this in an interview a couple weeks ago, but I really think like if you're not making shit that you love, stop making it.
Yeah,
do something
definitely.
else. Like if you're not making stuff that you love and you can get in the car and be like, damn, this is hard, then I think you should try to make something else, you know? Because it's like at the end of the day, you really should be your biggest fan.
100%. And if someone says that you're your biggest fan, you got to check them. Like, no, I am. Like, you might listen to my music. I appreciate it, but I'm my biggest fan at the end of the day. You got to be cocky with what you got going on. You can't just be you got to be a humble giant, what I say. You got to be humble in certain situations. But when it comes to it, you got to talk your shit. You got to be about it too. You got to back it up.
Yeah, entirely, man. Because I mean, if you're just sitting there and you're acting like, I'm okay, I'm all right. How can you expect anybody else to think you're dope if you don't even think you're dope? And I'm not saying that you have to have all this kind of self-confidence right off the bat, but you have to learn to build that self-confidence, and that's really hard.
Yeah.
That's a really hard thing to do, to like build self-confidence and beat insecurities out of yourself. But there are things within people that you have to address. If you run from your self-image problems, you run from your like perception of yourself and the worry of what other people think of you forever, you'll never escape it.
Yeah, like a lot of people think, oh, just because you're an artist, you're already big. Like, I had this experience at work. This lady, I had told her, yeah, I make music. She was like, what are you doing here? I was like, how else am I going to make music? I got to fund it. Like, nobody else is. It's not like school where you can get grants and shit like that. If you're an independent artist, this is you. It's just you. You're rocking by your lonely. That's what I kind of say. I'm rocking by my lonely. And I'm grinding every single day, 40 hours a week plus, working at a job that I don't want to be at. I still appreciate it. I love the people there, but it's not what I want to be doing. And hey, it's just a step.
Are you like, so when you say you're an independent artist, are you like set on never signing? Like, if you got an opportunity, would you take it? Or is that something you're like, I really want to do this by myself? Because it's hard. It's a hard decision.
It's very hard. Somebody I look up to as an independent artist is probably Russ, because that guy's like the forefront of independent artists. And
Song a week.
Yeah, song a week. Bro, that shit is crazy. I watched a lot of his interviews, and I learned a lot from him. And shit, why not be an independent artist? Why would you want somebody to tell you what to do? For me, there's people that, they rather take direction from somebody else because they are lazy and they don't want to figure out for themselves. They rather have somebody tell them, do this, go there, do that. I'm not with that, you know? Like, my parents have made it to a point where they say we're equal. We're all equal. We're not supposed to be treated differently, whether it's our age or gender or, you know, sexual orientation or whatever the fuck. And a lot of people like to downplay people because of their age, sexual preferences, or their gender. And fuck that. I'm an independent. I'm a human, you know? we're all human at the end of the day. I just want to make a difference, and I want to do it independently because I feel like if you're signed, they don't think about things like that.
No.
It's straight money, and it's not really about money for me. Money's a tool. It's not everything. And a lot of people preach, oh, you need money for this. Yeah, of course, it's a tool, but it's not everything. If you devote your life to money, you lose sight of all the things that you wanted to do. Number one, family, and I stand by that.
I think in the age of like YouTube and the age of the internet too, it's so much easier to be an independent artist right now than it ever has been, and tomorrow it'll be even easier.
Yeah.
And the next day will be even easier. Labels are going to be obsolete in 15 to 20 years, easily, with no question. And the reason is there used to be such a barrier to entry to, one, make music, and then two, do anything creatively with artists. What I'm doing right now, was a thing that used to be monetized and dominated by labels.
Yeah,
like interviews were all run through labels, but it's like now in the age of YouTube, you're able to learn how to be your own videographer. You're able to learn how to do your own interviews. Maybe you start a podcast or whatever.
Because even those radio shows, they're signed by labels.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's all a fucking inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
And what
entirely.
And what independent artists are doing, they're breaking that inner circle, and we're just going straight at it. And you're an independent. I say not an artist, but you're a businessman, entrepreneur, and that's the thing that you're, as an independent artist, you're an entrepreneur. You're selling yourself. That's the image. You
totally.
know? That's something I learned from Breathe too as well. He talks about a lot of that in our studio sessions. That this shit is possible. You know, you can teach yourself how to do these things. You don't have to go to school for a certain shit. You don't have to go and be signed by a label to become a big artist. There's people who are doing it right now. And if you want to become successful, you got to learn from people who have already done it. You don't take advice from people who say, oh, I don't think you could do that, because they're just telling you that they can't do it. In other words, they're projecting to you that they themselves, they're not confident in themselves that they can fucking become something that they want to be, you know? And they tell you, I don't think you could do it, because you come from the same place as them. And a lot of people that I went to high school with, they're like, oh yeah, your music's cool. Or like, I used to send people my music and they're like, yeah, it's cool. You're just kind of talking on the beat or whatever the fuck. And then I just stopped. Yeah, I just stopped sending it to people. I was just like, fuck you. Like, my shit bangs.
Yeah. The way that I think about it is like, you need to know what you are doing better than anybody else knows what you're doing. You need to trust yourself. You really need to trust yourself. I think that's huge.
100%. And if you you don't understand where you're going, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, you got to have a goal. You got to have a plan. You got to know exactly what the fuck you're doing. Because if you don't, you're just going to be playing with your fucking dick, like, sitting there.
The way that I think about it is almost like, I think honestly, like, one thing in music that really changed the whole idea of a label was the HipHop Soundcloud era of, like, 2015, 2016, 2017. Because it was such an interesting time, right? Because you had these major artists that were signed to labels, and they were getting the radio plays and the big numbers. But the underground guys had, like, bigger fan bases and like millions of streams. Exactly. It was like a weird merging point where like labels suddenly didn't have the power to make somebody huge, because at the end, the way that I think about it, honestly, at the end of the day, like, what do you need to be a successful musician? You need, on a baseline, people that listen to your music.
100%.
That's what you need. And I think about the concept of 1,000 True Fans a lot. It's a book. I can't remember the author's name. I wish I could remember. But the concept of the book is like, in the social media age, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to be a musician, or you want to be a painter or an artist or whatever, you just really all you need is 1,000 true fans. And the discrepancy in this book is very clear when it changes, or it contrasts what is a fan versus what is a consumer. A consumer, if I just listen to a couple of your tracks, add them to my playlist, that's a consumer. But if I am a JayRaider fan, I go to all JayRaider shows. Whenever JayRaider pulls up to my area, I go see him. I buy all the merch that he drops.
100%.
That's a fan. If you have 1,000 true fans, you can turn your creative vision into a profession.
Exactly what I'm saying. And at the moment, I'm sitting at like 307 followers, but I know at least a good 30 to 50 people listen to my song maybe 2 or 3 times. And I have people telling me, that song's fucking fire. I've been listening to it all week. Yeah. That's a true fan, like you said.
Totally.
Yeah. And another thing with the label thing is, like, they're going to be obsolete because of the new platform that I've been kind of studying is NFTs. And, like, Tory Lanez, he fucking made $1 million in fucking 1 minute just selling his...
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I'm going to drop my new project on OpenC. So
really,
yeah, I just
that's so interesting to me.
gotta do it, man.
Explain that space to me a little bit because I've been really interested in that. I've been talking to a lot of people about it. But how do you go about dropping an album on OpenC? Like, so because it seems like you're really into the Web3 thing, right?
Yeah, definitely, because I'm a big fan into crypto, Ethereum. It's not like it could be also used as a currency, but it's a platform that you can build off of. Like, you can make thousands of dollars within hours, you know. But you gotta have the right how do I say this, community. Like,
Yeah.
if you have 30 true fans and you sell 30 of your albums and you sell them at $150 a piece, that's bands right there.
Yeah.
And when they resell it, you also get residual earns. So you take 10% of each time it gets traded. So it's like art, basically.
I'm gonna connect you with somebody after this interview who's like trying to like create a specific. I'm not gonna like, spoil his whole idea here, but he's trying to start something that puts on a lot of small independent artists in the crypto space, in the Web3 space, and just in OpenC and stuff.
It's the future.
Exactly. He's talking to me about that a lot recently. Spending a lot of game to me about that, and it's super interesting to me, right? Because like if you have, think about it, right? It's almost like crowdsourcing at the highest level, right? It's like if you have 1,000 true fans that are going to stream your song on Spotify 20 times in like 2 months or whatever, that's going to make you like
$10,
like $1.50 per like 100 fans. Like, but it's like if you have 20 true fans that buy your album as well, I guess it wouldn't work as NFT, but if they like buy your album, it's interesting actually because it's almost like kind of reversing, right? It's like going back to the idea of like how we used to buy songs.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a record, but digitally, and you can set it at any price. You can trade it as many times as you want. Like, there's so many things that you could do on this space that's insane. Like, you could sell pictures, anything from videos to gifts. Like, if the NFTs were out when Vine was really popping, all those Vine people would have been fucking billionaires by selling that little fucking fuck your chicken strips. That shit would have been huge if you bought that NFT like back then. Like, it's gonna
That's a crazy concept. I haven't thought about that.
It's gonna change how music is listened to and that type of thing. And it is gonna bring more collectibles. Like, oh shit, you have that first edition JayRaider fucking Love Never Leaves record NFT. Like, damn, you know, it's gonna be
especially
crazy.
if it's one of one.
Exactly, because that's kind of the lost thing of like a lot of people, they like records, and like back then, oh, I have this record, it's fucking mint condition. Like, you don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just streams, and it's just like very artificial, I say. Yeah,
totally. Especially in the age of the vinyl boom we're currently in. It's crazy to me that like vinyl's gotten so expensive again. What's weird is like I have a friend who I was talking to her dad a couple months ago, and he's a big like vinyl guy, and he was talking about like when he was a kid, well not when he was a kid, but when he like really got into vinyl was like in his like late 20s to early 30s. And that was like within the obsolete period, in like the early 2000s, like between like the late 90s and the early 2000s, when like CDs completely replaced, like the radio pretty much, and then also like vinyl, because vinyl became obsolete at that point. You know, nobody's listening to vinyl at that point because it wasn't cool anymore. It wasn't the in thing. The in thing was to have a CD to put in your car. But it's interesting because during that period, if you spent thousands of dollars on vinyl when nobody was doing it, you could resell that collection now because of the modern vinyl boom for so much money. And it's interesting to me how like just because vinyls went out of fashion and then came back into fashion, how they went from like being worth so much to absolutely nothing to now worth so much again. When you go in, if you buy like a new record that just dropped at like Amoeba or whatever, it's gonna run you like $30 to $40.
Yeah, definitely. And I just feel like history repeats itself all the time, but we advance as a civilization, you know? So it's going to repeat itself, but in a new form. So that's what I think. Like, NFTs, there's a thing called the whitelist that's kind of basically getting in line for the NFT. And if you miss out, you're going to have to buy it triple, maybe 100 times the price sometimes. You know, there's people minting, so they put their money in. That's kind of like getting ahead of the line. You mint it yourself, and it goes straight to your wallet. The Bored Ape Yacht Club, those were like $200, and you see all over social media that these are going for $100 to fucking $1 million, and that's insane. Like, Same thing with Tory Lanez. He dropped it for what, $1?
Yeah.
And then he made $1 million off fucking how many copies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
I think it's gonna completely change. Like, excuse me. I think it's gonna completely change how we look at music in a commoditized form. You know, because 100%. It's like it's weird because it's almost replacing because we went from think about it, right? We started with physical music. You know, we had a vinyl, and then we went to a cassette, and then we had MP3 players, which I guess is a form of digital music. But we went from physical music to digital music. We advanced with digital music to a place where digital music was no longer valuable in itself.
Yeah.
You don't make money off streaming, really. Not a livable. You could be huge and make not a livable wage off of streaming. But it's now we're moving back to a place with NFTs to where the digital is almost becoming the physical again.
Yeah, because the thing Metaverse, another platform that's built off Ethereum, that's living in a whole nother world, and you just you can put your art on the wall in your fucking VR, and you say, oh, that's my Bored Ape. Yeah, look at it. You can invite people over virtually. Say you're in the U.S. and you have a friend in fucking Canada, you can be right there with him looking at your art and shit. Same thing is you could pop in your virtual CD and you're listening to the music in the fucking VR. It's gonna be a whole different world.
It's kind of like designer streetwear in a lot of ways, like how Supreme in the early days, or Bape, they drop really limited amounts of their stuff, and then the resale would be 30 times the retail.
Exactly.
It's almost like that.
Yeah, this beanie, me and my homie.
That's your brand, right?
Yeah.
Shout it out real quick. We'll put it in the description.
Not all can see. There was only 20 of these made, and we sold out. So
wow.
Yeah, so that's a step. If you have 20 pieces, you're gonna sell out 20 pieces. If you're gonna have 100 pieces, yeah, you'll make more money. But what you really want is exclusivity. You want a community. You want people that, oh shit, when's your next drop? You want them to be questioning. Hey, just like in music, this could apply to anything. You want people to constantly want more. You constantly want them to keep coming back and asking you. You want to grow your community. You want to be interactive with the community. You want to be constantly talking to them. You don't want to be fucking Hollywood and not reply to your fans or take pictures with them or that type of thing. You need to take input from your fans because those are the people that are supporting you at the end of the day.
It's that same friend I was telling you about. He put me on a lot with Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
Which is I guess a big thing. I mean, I'm sure you know about it. It's a big thing in the NFT community, I guess, and crypto thing. It's I guess these are just hubs for people to talk to their fans. And I hopped in one of those, and what's his name, dude? I can't remember his name, but he was a really weird eclectic sample producer, and he just produced hip hop samples. I can't remember his name, but Kanye's worked with him a bunch. Cuddy's worked with him a bunch. I can't remember his name, but he's a really weird eclectic underground guy. But anyway, I just jumped in some random NFT Twitter space, and he was just in it, just talking to people, and which is pretty cool. It's like Instagram Live, but it's all your it's more interactive, there's something like Instagram Live.
Yeah, it's kind of like a podcast in a way.
Yeah, totally.
A very quick one, no setup or anything like that. You're just talking through your phone, and I think it's fucking awesome. Another person like Gary Vee, he's a mogul. He's been at the forefront of NFTs, and
of course he is.
That guy's a fucking monster. That guy is a monster.
I remember him talk. He was actually the first place where I learned what an NFT was.
Yeah,
and it was it might have been 9 months ago now, and I had never heard of that before. I was what does that even mean? What does that mean?
That guy Gary Vee really knows what the fuck he's talking about. He understands patterns so much.
You can shit on him as much as you want. He's a genius, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
He's seen trends way before anybody else.
It's like my dad told me this. Life is a cycle.
Yeah.
You gotta live outside the cycle.
It's with the vinyl.
Watch it. Yeah, you gotta watch the cycle, bro. You gotta fucking pick up on the patterns and that's how you win. You pick up on the pattern, basically.
Can you explain Ethereum to me? Because I'm trying to understand it. It's the currency of the metaverse, right? Because I have Bitcoin, but I thought about investing in some Ethereum because I had some extra money to double some crypto. But in my understanding is Ethereum's a good, also Bitcoin just dropped so much. I thought about buying some more, but
if you just invest, so that's what you call the main coins, right? Is Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. If you just invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum $100 every month from now to 10 years, you'd probably be a millionaire. Ethereum is just a platform. It's not also just a currency, but it's a platform like say Facebook. You know how Facebook has all those games and shit.
Yeah.
And all that kind of thing. It's like a platform where you can create off of it, and it's the blockchain. It's secured, so that's why people are always saying, "Hey, I could just take a screenshot of that NFT." Well, yeah, you can, but you don't own it because on the blockchain you own it on the blockchain. It says owned by blah blah blah, right?
So it's like almost like the deed to a house.
Exactly. It's a deed to a house, and that's where it makes it so secure because the government doesn't control the blockchain. Ethereum does, you know?
Well, that's a lot of the appeal, right? Aren't a lot of people into it because it's like a non-government run form of currency? Exactly. And it's almost like, in a lot of ways, it's almost like the consumer seizing the means of production.
Yeah, and like a lot of people, they don't agree with the government and a lot of shit they do with a U.S. currency. And I feel like we, the people, can make all this shit a lot obsolete, you know? But it just takes working together, having creative minds.
Well, it's almost like the idea of 1,000 true fans, right? It's like if we really wanted to, right? Like this would never happen. But I'm saying like one day, like if people were all like, oh, let's just stop acting like money means anything. Let's take these pieces of paper and decide that they have no value.
Exactly.
That currency's done. Like modern U.S. currency would just dissolve.
Yeah, but the thing about that is who owns the houses? The fucking banks. And who owns the banks? The government. And like. The only way we could do that is, I say, overthrow the government. But I feel like a lot of people are not smart enough to fucking live peacefully. Yeah. There would be, there's still a lot of fucking chaos with the fucking government. I feel like they caused a lot of it. But I always think about that. I'm like, what was it like to live on your own land? Or it was so peaceful. Like, my father tells me this because his family's from Mexico. And he tells me that they had their own fucking land, mountains of it. And they would just wake up, live a simple life, take care of their cattle, and do it all over again. And like that seems very peaceful to me. Like you're not thinking about fancy cars, you're not thinking about fucking bitches, you're not thinking about none of that. You're thinking about family, and you're thinking about just living. You know, at that point, I feel like a lot of the materialistic things came from like social media.
Hey Mateo, can you plug the portable charger to that one? Thank you. Sorry, what were you saying?
I feel like a lot of materialistic things have come from like the government. They kind of, how do I say this? I wouldn't blame everything on the government because we create a lot of the stuff, but they fund a lot of things that are kind of, how do I say this? Propaganda, that type of thing. It's like very implemented in our head a lot from a young age.
Mateo, it's right there. Oh shit, it's right there. Yeah, my bad. It's just not plugged in. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like do you find yourself being like a genuine or generally like political person? Or you try to stay out of that stuff? Because I find like I have opinions on stuff. Yeah. But then I sometimes I get too sucked into it all, you know? And it's like I wish I could like just kind of escape from like having opinions.
Yeah, there's like no way we would all agree on one thing. Yeah. Everybody's going to have a different mindset because we all grew up differently. We all have different, we were all taught different things, you know? We all watch different things. We all listen to different things. So, I just feel like I am not such a political person. I obviously have my political views, but people would say you don't vote, you're the problem, or I don't want to vote because if I vote, some other person is gonna hate me. If I'm neutral, nobody can hate me. You know, nobody can say you're wrong, and I don't really give a fuck if someone says I'm right or wrong. But I'm just saying when people get political and they talk about political shit on social media trying to get their point across, it's like, yeah, you got out what you wanted to say, but you want people to agree with you when you talk about politics and shit like that. But it's always going to be 50-50, you know? So I'd rather stay neutral. I'd rather just respect everybody for their views and whatever they want to live their life. You know, if it doesn't align with if your views don't align with mine, 100% of the time, I probably wouldn't be associated with you, you know? And it's like, I'm not going to disrespect you because at the end of the day, you're a human. You breathe like I do. You bleed like I bleed. So I'm going to respect you. That's just.
I don't think the politics make the person. Yeah. You know? I don't really understand that point of view. Like, I think, like, people would, like, the counter argument to that would be, like, oh, like, what if somebody, like, you know, that, like, hates minorities? And I think I would argue, like, that's not, like, a political view. That's just, like, you're a terrible person. Exactly. You know? That's, like, who you are. It's not really a political thing. Like, I don't think, like, how I think the economy should be run, like, changes my mentality in like other regards.
Yeah, like how people say you voted for Trump or Biden, like what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, that's their right to vote for whoever the fuck they want. Like no matter what you say, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
You know, because it's your right to do, your right to vote, your right to support whoever you want to support. Even if you're a fucked up person, you can't take that right away from them.
Mm-hmm. I also think like it's weird, right? Like I feel like the opposite way that you change somebody who has like a fucked up state of mind and fucked up perspective is by like cussing at them or like calling them an idiot or like just like showing them the same hate they show you. Exactly. Because I feel like that's what fuels hateful people. Yeah, I feel like hateful people are exactly. Hateful people are fueled on hate. So if you provide them with hate,
fire,
yeah,
it's gonna keep growing. But if you just don't even fucking bother, whatever the fuck, they're not gonna. If you don't even mind them, 100% of the time, it's not gonna bother you at all. The people that let all that politics shit get to their head, they're fucking weak.
Yeah, I agree.
You just gotta. I don't like politics because no matter who's president, it's not going to change my goals or my mindset. Yeah. It's always going to be family first. What's my job? To bring my family to the next platform so we could all succeed. That's never going to change because Biden or Trump is president. Yeah, the economy might change. That just means I got to do something a little bit different. I got to make a little bit more money. There's always an answer. A lot of people nowadays, they just like to complain about shit. And yeah, social media is giving them a voice to complain a lot. And it's the right idea of social media is to express yourself, but a majority of the fucking world is negative.
I feel like, I don't know, if I were to put a percentage on it, I almost feel like probably like 60 to 70% of people who use social media use it in an unhealthy way. Yeah. And 100%. I very easily could be in that group. But it's like, that shit feels so much divisiveness. It's so divisive. And then it also, like, even beyond the divisiveness, it also can cause just such crazy, like, self-expectation issues and, like, self-body issues. Like, the amount of, like, it's men too, but specifically I feel like young girls are impacted by this in a lot of ways when they see like the perfect looking like model on Instagram and they think they have to look like that, you know? So then they'll like they'll become like, you know, they'll adopt unhealthy eating habits or unhealthy like lifestyle habits because they feel like they have to like be like the person they saw on their Instagram feed. And that's so toxic to me.
And the good influencers will teach you how to get there, not just post the highlights and say, look at me, I got all this shit. The real ones will show you how to get there. You know, like Gary Vee. He's not over there saying, I'm a fucking rich guy. I'm shitting on you, blah, blah. He's teaching you the space. He's teaching you how to get it. Like, and that's what you got to surround yourself with. If you block all that negativity out, you're just straight tunnel vision. You know what I'm saying? No stopping you.
That's the future, too, I think. I think, like, when it comes down to, like, how you make it as either a musician or you make it as an entrepreneur, or you make it as just somebody on the internet. It comes down to this. I took a lot from Gary Vee. It comes from providing people with value, giving people value in some way, shape, or form. That's how you get people to come back.
Exactly, and like music could be your value, or you as a person. Like a lot of artists, their music is not their value; it's them as a person. Kind of say, I like A$AP Rocky's music, but a lot of people know him for his fashion sense and his just his swag, bro. Like, he's a fucking dope-ass person. That's why I fuck with Rocky. He's swaggy, bro. He's got good fashion. He's confident, you know. That inspires me to be confident. Not to be like him, but to be fucking, like, fashionable, confident, all of those things, you know. You gotta be, you gotta look up to people that are kind of in the same lane as you, I would say.
We were talking about Rocky in the last interview that I did. I did an interview this morning, and we were talking about Rocky a lot. We were talking about, like, how he kind of, like, was one of the first people to like really like push the idea of like fashion and hip hop.
Yeah, and I think that's dope because it brought a lot of light to a lot of cool shit. Like we were talking about Tyler, like all those colors and all those cars and shit like that. Rocky says, "I got that thing. The car needs to match the girl. The girl needs to match the song. All that she needs to correlate." I got that from Rocky, and fucking, I haven't done a lot of videos for that reason because one, I don't have funds. And sometimes a lot of those resources are not in reach. And lately I have been getting resources and I've been planning like, okay, shit's falling into piece. Now I can do it the right way. It's better to do shit the right way than the wrong way. Because you could have a banger ass song and then you drop the video and it's like, doesn't match the song. And then it's a waste.
Entirely. Do you think like as you progress as an artist, fashion, because I know like you run a clothing brand, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, how did you first get into that?
Well, me and my boy Gabe, shout out to Gabe, we just had an idea because we're just looking for ways to fund our music and other goals and passions, and one way to connect music is fashion and creating something not all can see. We don't want everybody to wear our brand, hence the name. Not all can see the vision. We just want people with the same mindset as us, the people that can see like we see. We want them to be able to express themselves and fucking wear our shit. Kind of I want them to wear as a token as, hey, we're a part of this club, we're part of this vision, you know?
It's like we were talking about with exclusivity. That's so big in clothes, I feel
exactly. The same thing with my like label, God's on Earth. Like you are part of God, right? He created you. He's living inside of you. You're walking on earth. God's on earth, you know? You're walking along earth. You're creating life. As you go, you create another you. You also create, if you make art and shit like that, that's another create. You're a God at the end of the day. A lot of people might say I have a God complex, but no, I just know who I am. I know that God is inside of me and he's helping me create. And if some people can't create because they're not tapped into that, they don't understand who they are and that type of thing. And when you want to create at a high level, you need to understand who you are and where you come from. And God made me. God made my father and everyone before there. So that's just how I feel.
Are you really religious?
Not really religious, but I believe in the higher power.
Yeah. Were you raised religious?
No. I went to church a couple times. My mom at one point was like religious, but then she seen through the whole scam. Like I just feel like church is...
A lot of it's very, like, capitalist. A lot of it's, like, very, artificial. Like, how can I make money off people?
Yeah, like, passing the fucking baskets to donate to the church and, like, all that shit. The fucking pastor has a fucking Porsche and shit like that. And I'm like, where's the money going? The fucking church is already fucking nice as fuck. Like, what's happening? Like, it's just a whole bunch of, like, shit, propaganda.
Backtracking a little bit, do you think you'd ever want to have kids, like, when you get older?
Yeah, 100%. And, I don't want to push my values onto them. I want to let them kind of choose. I always want to give them an option, you know.
Choose their path.
Yeah.
How did you like first get into music? Like, was it because your parents were like, you know, you said you grew up listening to a lot of rock and stuff, but when you first got interested in music, what was that process like? Like first beginning to create, and how old were you when that happened?
I was like 17. It's called Fast Lane, and I was just like thinking about like, driving in a fast ass car, like, I was in Berkeley. We had just moved a couple months, and we had this old ass computer. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna hook it up. And I was just like, FL Studios is kind of too complicated and shit like that. So I was looking on YouTube with some good like platforms you could just create easy ass music on, and it was Audacity, and I would just made my first song on Audacity, and I was just like, okay, I don't have autotune. I don't have the money for autotune. So how else can I implement that kind of sound? And it was layering, and I still do that to this day, kind of like Lil Peep. It's kind of funny because the Me Plus 2 crew on that video, they said you could hear the little click. On my song, you could also hear that too at the end. Yeah. And bro, I didn't know how to punch in or nothing like that. It was
spacebar method.
Yeah, always one take, bro. One take through the whole thing. I recorded that song like the 2 hours. I was getting frustrated. It wasn't sounding how I wanted it to, but I was just like, fuck it. I made a song, posted it, got like 1,000 views, and I was like, oh shit.
That's cool, yeah. Yeah, dude, Audacity, I love Audacity. I use it a lot.
It's so simple.
It's so easy, and it's free. Why is it so cool? Actually, the story of Audacity is like weird. Like I've looked into it a little bit. Like I'm pretty sure the guy who like started Audacity, he made it in like I could be wrong about this, but I want to say it was like a college class or something. He literally just developed the software and just dropped it for free for anybody to use, which is so dope because so many people use it. It's so many people's intro to like recording.
Yeah, whether it's like from music to voice recording for like shows or cartoons and shit like that. That's like easy practice. You don't got to spend any money. All you need is like, you could even use just regular headphones. Yeah. You don't even need a mic. And luckily for me, I had like a snowball mic for like gaming and shit like that. And I used that. And that's how I got into music. And then I met, my friend that I had gotten interested, he was doing music already. And I moved to the Bay Area, so he was closer. And he had also moved to the Bay. And like BART is fucking, bless BART, because you could go anywhere on BART. And we went to Breed Studio. And then it was just a whole bunch of us young ass kids in there just trying to fucking find our sound. And then one day, it really took for me to go to the studio by myself. And that's when I felt comfortable, because I felt like when I was in the studio with friends, I was trying to say, I was always asking them constantly, does that sound good? Does this sound good? And I wasn't really thinking to myself. I went to the studio. My dad drove me, and he was sitting there, and he was just like listening and like just watching, because I don't think he had ever been to the studio. And I just went in there. I felt really confident because my father was there. I was like, all right, this shit is going to bang. I'm not going to ask him if it bangs, but I have all the confidence in the world when I'm around my parents, I say.
That's actually really cool, because I feel like a lot of people are the opposite.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so good that you have a relationship with them, that you can trust them in that regard.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that. It took a lot, because as my parents are growing up, we're growing up together. So it took us all learning together, going through experiences, fucking fighting and arguing and all this shit to come to this point that we're at right now. And we're fucking like strong. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but we're still getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all support each other.
That's perfect where it's at.
Yeah, like my little brother, he's a gamer, and he's better than I was when I was fucking 13.
So is mine. My brother plays, like, I drive him to, like, Super Smash Bros. Tournaments all over there, yeah.
I just bought him a scuff controller for Christmas, because he's been playing on a fucking broken controller. I'm like, my parents couldn't afford that for me, and like, they don't need to buy it for him because I can buy it for him, you know? So it's all about me supporting someone that I see is like me. My little brother's like me, so I'm gonna support him in his dreams, whether it be he plays basketball too. He's fucking raw.
So does mine.
Yeah, but he likes to play games, and like it was me and my younger brother that's older than him. So it's me. I'm the oldest, and then my younger brother Messiah. He turns 18 this year, and then my youngest brother Aiden, and then I have a little sister named Ilana.
Wait, how old's your brother Aiden?
He's 13.
We have, like, almost the exact same, like, sibling dynamic, except I don't have a sister, but, like, the age difference. My brother's 14. Yeah, but pretty close.
Pretty close.
Because then I have another brother who's 18, or he's 19 now, but it's a similar dynamic.
Very.
How did you grow up super close to your siblings?
Yeah, we grew up really close. We bonded over video games, and like I was saying, me and my brother Messiah always play Call of Duty Zombies. My dad actually introduced us to video games. We'd watch him and sit there, and when he was done, we'd play. And my little brother Aiden like, can I play? And you know the big brother thing. Nah, just wait.
Yeah.
Nah. But him learning and watching, he took all the good shit that we were good at, and he fucking is a monster now. I see this kid playing, and he's fucking dropping 20 kills on Warzone. I'm like, damn, dude, you're fucking shit up. And like that makes me really happy to see like another you, like your brother, basically fucking.
I feel that.
Yeah, I want my brothers to be better than me. You know, I don't want to be the best because there's people after me. It's my job to make them better than me.
You sound like a really family-oriented person.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that. I'd say I was selfish at one point, and I just wanted things for myself. But it took me to realize, hey, we're together. We might as well. I don't want down the line, you know, some siblings that you don't see them for like 3 or 6 years. Like, nah, I want it to be tight-knit, you know. I want us to be pulling up in a fucking all nice cars, you know, we doing our thing. I want us to all be blessed and eating.
It's family, man. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You're giving your family for a reason. You only get one, you know?
Exactly.
I think it's so bad to, like, have vendettas against your family over, like, petty stuff. You know what I mean? Like, when you could really just, like, in most cases, I mean, this isn't for everybody, you know, but I feel like in most cases, if you have a relationship that is somewhat reparable and somewhat able, you recover it in some way or shape or form, you really should pursue that, because you only really get, as tough as it is and as hard as it is to say, you really only get one shot with your family.
100%, and not everybody gets that shot. You know?
Totally.
And that's why I keep saying I'm fucking blessed.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy because I feel like I have all the people I need. You know, even though, you know, I still have to make connections and go out and meet other people. I feel like, hey, I got a solid foundation here that I feel like we're building off of, and that's what you got to do to build an empire. You got to have a solid foundation, and then that's where the family tree comes in. There's the trunk, and then there's the branches. You know. How'd you
first meet Breathe? If you're all the way from out here.
Breathe, through a mutual friend. So he would go to record with Breathe, and then I'd ask him like, where do you go? Because he had lived in Concord, and then he was like, let's go to Breathe, and I was like, okay, Breathe, let's go.
Yeah.
And when I first went, I was like, Breathe and B. I was like, I thought it was Breathe and Breathe, but it was B. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit. And I fuck with Breathe and B because...
Shout out Bree and Beath.
Yeah, because
I said that wrong. Shout out Breathe and
B. They're
like
two-headed monster, I say.
For real,
you know,
dude.
They take turns, and I know, like, okay, I'm going to do this song with Breathe because he's going to go first. All right, I'm going to do this song. And then if another song, because I know, like, from listening to songs that Breathe has mixed and B has mixed, I like B when it's an R&B song. and she fucking blessed my ears when it was an R&B song. I was like, damn, okay. Whenever it's B's turn, I'm gonna do an R&B song.
Yeah.
Whenever it's like a fast paced kind of rapper beat, I'm gonna do Breathe, because like they have they're similar, but they also have their strengths, you know.
I think that's why they work so well together.
Yeah.
You know, like they're like you said, like they're similar, but they both can do certain things very well.
Hell yeah.
And it's like they complete each other when they work as a team.
That's the coolest shit I've ever seen. I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, I get to have 2 engineers rather than 1.
For the price of 1.
Yeah, and that's what that's why I really like going to them, is because I know I can count on both of them. And if, like, Bree's not there, cool, B's here. If B's not here, Bree's here.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like either way.
Yeah, cool. Either way, I'm gonna be comfortable. I'm gonna do my part, and they're gonna do theirs. So
yeah.
The quality is always gonna be there, 100%.
Is that where you made your Gods on Earth tape?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, talk about the reception of that a little bit. Like when you put that out, how was it like putting out that first project? Was it like, how do you think you learned a lot from it? Like what was kind of like, what kind of things did you learn from putting out your first project?
Sonically, it did not sound how I wanted to. I feel like it didn't really mesh well together, and I kind of like rushed it. I had gotten 2 sessions, and I recorded most of those songs within those 2 sessions, and then other than 2 songs, Breathe and B mixed those ones, and then the producer that gave me those beats, the other 2 songs, he mixed those ones. So I was just like, hey, okay, it kind of sounds different, and doesn't really have how do I say this, a theme, you know, like the one that I'm gonna drop next. But Gods on Earth, I was creating whatever the fuck, and there's some solid songs on there. They're all pretty solid. I fuck with them. But yeah, I learned like not to rush things. Like let shit happen for what it is. Don't. I learned a lot of money management, and I learned that it cost a lot of money to make a mixtape. Yeah. Let alone an album.
Totally.
It's gonna cost you, especially if you're independent. Like it's gonna cost you a pretty penny. But you want to invest in yourself, 100%. You want to invest in quality. You always want to invest in the right things. Don't want to just throw your money out there. But you gotta learn money management. That's what I kind of learned.
The next project, do you think you want to drop it more of a theme, something more cohesive, or like what were you referring to when you said that?
Yeah, like cohesive. Like sonically is gonna sound like. The songs are gonna mesh together very well. It's gonna have a like an R&B type of thing, kind of talking about more like a slower kind of vibe.
That's sick. That's definitely different than your first project, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that the style that I'm going for now is kind of like one of my truer styles. That I really like creating. So yeah, it's gonna be cool as fuck.
The album cover for that project, talk about that a little bit. Like because that art was really cool to me. Who did that for you, and like where'd you get that art?
That I actually walk past it every single day, walking to work.
Oh, whoa!
I always look at it. I'm like, damn, that'd be a cool ass like spot for a music video or like a cover art. And one day I just took my camera, started taking hella pictures. I go into fucking Illustrator.
You vectorized it, or?
Yeah, I did. I took the picture, and then what the fuck? I cropped it, and then I added a filter to it, and then I just added my little logo on the bottom and my name at the top, and that was it. I didn't have to spend any money on it. The Gods on Earth one, that one costed $100 because it was from like he's like a big abstract artist that I fucked with. Yeah. And that was a pretty penny, but I'm trying to learn how to do things on my own now and just kind of save money for more of the visual kind of aspect of my music, because that's probably the most expensive thing.
Be your own label, be your own artist, be your own everything.
Yeah, and it's going to take investments. And sometimes as an independent artist, it's not going to show up right away. And I know that. And you got to understand that it's not going to happen overnight. It's like you're investing into your stock, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to keep growing as harder that you work. So the harder you work, the more it'll pay off.
Talk about the collaborators on that project a little bit, because a lot of them I looked into, and like it didn't seem like a lot of them make a lot of music. So like, how did you meet the collaborations on that project?
Mr. Mundo is actually the second half of Gods on Earth. He's my brother. He's my brother. I say big brother, but he's my cousin really. And he used to just freestyle all the time. He had like little 30 seconds on SoundCloud, and I just thought it was so cool because he was my cousin, and I would just listen to those 30-second things. And I just told him when I started making music, he was like, bro, you're fucking clean as fuck. Like, you're making music. And he got really inspired by it. And I was like, fuck it, bro. Like, come to the studio, bro. We're going to do this shit. And, like, having your brother there with you, that brings so much confidence. And, like, me being able to know his capabilities and shit like that, and being able to push him and him pushing me when it comes to writing and stuff like that, it's like it's awesome, because you want to build that, you want to have that confidence. You're building that team with somebody that you've been growing up with your whole life, you know. Especially
when you're related to them. I find that people who make music with like their family, it's like a different kind of chemistry. It's like the kind of chemistry you don't even have to think about. Like I know we just talked about it, but me plus two, like them being sisters, like that's like crazy to me.
It's like effortless.
Yeah.
When I'm at the studio with him, I feel like it's effortless. It's like the vibes are fucking up from right when we get to the studio. We go to work. I'm like, all right, what do you got planned? He's like, I got these singles, and then maybe if you want to hop on this one, you could hop on this one. And I try to tell him, because when we first started making music, he didn't write a lot, and he'd have a lot of open verses, and then we have a lot of unreleased songs together. And I try to tell him, I want to see you, like, what can you do by yourself? Like, I fuck with our songs, but I'm like, I want you to have more singles, you know? I was kind of like forcing him to write his own shit.
Yeah, because you knew he could do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because even though we make good ass music, I don't want him to be known as just me feature on his shit. And
like one half of GodOnEarth.
Yeah, exactly. I want him to be able to have his own shit, because he has a family, and I don't want him to be like, oh yeah. A lot of people, they stir up that shit, and they're like, oh, he's better than you, blah blah. This kind of like that whole group dynamic.
Shit,
I didn't want it to be a group. I just want us to be a collective where we're our own people, and that's what we're under. And that's going to be like, you know, our kind of brand. So he also pushes me a lot when it comes to writing, and we'll be on the phone. He'll give me a line and say, all right, build off that, you know, or like I'll rap to him and he'll rap to me, and he's like, how's it sounding? Because I know he's not a yes man, you know. He has like, he calls me, he's like, bro, I got some shit. And one day I was like, bro, I don't want to hear that. I was like in a bad mood. And I was like, I don't want to hear that shit. And he was like, bro, all right, whatever, call me later. And he texted me, he was like, I know that's not you. He was like, I'll call you later. You know, we understand each other a lot. We understand our tendencies. And that's why I feel like, bro, he's a great fucking teammate. It's like we're like, it's not like a football team. It's like a 2-man team, like tennis duo kind of thing, you know.
It's like two sides to a coin.
Exactly.
I think there's so much importance in having collaborators that you can trust like that, and having people that like push you, you know, because like what we were talking about earlier about yes man, it's like it'd be really easy to get in the studio and surround yourself with a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, that's dope, dope, but it's cool when somebody will like sit there and tell you kind of like, this is what I think about that, this is why I think that, and this is what I think you should change.
Exactly.
Because I feel like that's kind of a hard thing to find.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we want the same thing, and if we're yes men, we're not gonna get there. Like those yes men, they just want to be like, oh, Meek Mill or is my homie, or like that kind of thing. Like, I don't want to be known as my cousin's fucking cousin. I want to be known as JayRaider. You should want to be known as an individual. Then when you come together, that's when shit pops.
Yeah.
That's when who's a duo that I could kind of like.
Let's see. Earth Gang.
Earth Gang, exactly. Like, they make good ass music together, but on their own they could
Outkast.
Yeah, Outkast, exactly like that. Like
Salt and Pepper.
Exactly. Like Biggie and Tupac. Yep. They're not a collective.
Dre and M.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, I say they push each other to be great. You know, he pushes me to be great. He pushes boundaries, so we make each other uncomfortable. He said, and when I kind of rap to him, and he's like, that cadence, you're going too long. Switch up the flow. Like, that shit pushes me. That shit makes me want to make music. When he's rapping to me, or when I listen to our music together, I'm like, fuck, let's make another song together, bro. Like, it's always good vibes. It's always just wanting to create more with him. Like, that's what I fuck with. Mr. Mundo is my fucking soulmate, I say. He's not like my lover, but he's my soulmate. And we know when we're fucking sad. We know when we're happy. And that's something that I would never trade for the world.
Because it's family, man.
It's family, 100%.
Yeah. Hey, man, I love the way you look at life. I love the way you look at your family. Exactly. I feel like it's like, with you, I feel like it's genuine, man. And I see that in you. And I believe in you as an individual, and I think you're going to go, like, far, man.
100%.
Just like your mindset. You know, you have a great mindset. It's on another level.
Solid as a rock.
Yeah, for sure, bro. 100%. Hey, I appreciate you doing this interview, dude.
100%. More to come.
Yes, sir, for sure. Hey, if you ever want to come back on, let me know.
I will definitely let you know.
Tell them where to find your music, where they can find your socials, everything, where they can buy your clothes, check out your mom's book.
So, First, we'll shout out Mom's book. You guys find her on barnesandnobles.com or target.com. Also Amazon. If you cannot find her by she. Also, you can listen to my music on Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, TikTok, SoundCloud, all the good stuff. I will be posting more on YouTube. So, yeah. Also, check out GodOnEarth on Instagram. Also, check out Not All Can See on Instagram. At JayRaider, GOE is my main Instagram. So, appreciate you guys listening. It's all love. Appreciate it. Glad we got one in. So
yeah, for sure, bro. Appreciate
100%.
you. All right, man. Music matters.
Music matters.